You love your dog. You'd never want to upset them. And yet some of the most ordinary, well-meaning things we do every single day can quietly stress our dogs out. And because dogs hide their discomfort so incredibly well, most of us never even notice. So let me be clear right away. This is not a video about being a bad owner. It's the complete opposite. The fact that you're here watching this means you genuinely care. So today we're going to walk through 7 common, loving habits that secretly stress dogs out, exactly what the science says about each one, and the simple fixes so you can make your dog's life even better, starting today. And it all begins with learning to read a language your dog is speaking all the time. Let's get into it. Here's the thing that makes all of this so tricky. Dogs almost never complain loudly. They rarely growl or snap out of nowhere. Instead, long before that, they send small, quiet signals of discomfort. And if you don't know what they look like, they are incredibly easy to miss or to mistake for something else entirely. So let's learn them now because they're the key to this entire video. Watch for these: lip-licking when there's no food around, a sudden yawn when your dog isn't tired, turning the head or the whole body away from something, showing the whites of the eyes in a half-moon shape. Trainers call this whale eye. A tucked tail, a lowered or stiffened body, or suddenly sniffing the ground intensely out of nowhere. Each of these is your dog's polite way of saying, "I'm a little uncomfortable right now, please." These are sometimes called calming signals, and once you can read them, everything changes, because suddenly your dog can tell you when something isn't working. So keep them in mind as we go, because every single mistake on this list shows up first as one of these quiet little signs. And the first mistake is the most important one of all. The first one is the biggest, because it does the deepest damage: training or correcting your dog using fear. That means yelling, harsh leash jerks, scary dominance, moves like alpha rolls, or any method built around punishing your dog for getting things wrong. And this isn't just a matter of opinion or being soft. It measurably harms dogs, and we have the science to prove it. In a careful 2020 study led by Ana Catarina Vieira de Castro, researchers followed 92 pet dogs from real training schools, some using reward-based methods and some using aversive, punishment-based ones. They filmed the sessions and even tested the dog's saliva for the stress hormone cortisol. The results were striking. The dogs trained with punishment showed far more stress behaviors during training, had higher spikes of cortisol afterward. And here's the part that should stop us all in our tracks. On a later test, they had become measurably more pessimistic. They literally expected bad things to happen more often. Think about that. Harsh training doesn't just hurt in the moment. It can dim a dog's whole outlook on life. And separate research by Heron and colleagues back in 2009 found that confrontational methods like hitting or forced alpha rolls often provoke dogs to respond with aggression, making the very problem worse. The fix is simple, and it's wonderful. Reward what you want instead of punishing what you don't. Catch your dog doing the right thing and pay them for it with a treat, with praise, with play. The science is overwhelmingly clear that reward-based training builds a calmer, more confident, more trusting dog. So if your dog won't listen, the answer is almost never more fear. It's clearer, kinder teaching. Now, the next mistake is one that genuinely surprises people, because it feels like pure love. This one surprises almost everyone. Many dogs don't actually enjoy being hugged. To us, a hug is the ultimate gesture of love. But to a dog, being wrapped up and physically held still can feel a lot like being trapped, and bending right over the top of a dog, or reaching down to pat it firmly on the top of the head, can feel like looming, which many dogs find intimidating rather than affectionate. In fact, the psychologist Stanley Coren once reviewed a large batch of photos of people hugging their dogs, and found that in the great majority of them, the dogs were showing at least one of those exact stress signals: the turned head, the lip lick, the whale eye. Now, that was an informal analysis rather than a formal experiment, so let's hold it lightly. But it lines up perfectly with what behavior experts see every day. Lots of dogs simply tolerate hugs because they love us, and tolerating is not the same as enjoying. The fix is to let your dog set the terms of affection. Pet them on the chest, the shoulder, or under the chin, rather than over the head. And use a lovely little trick called the consent test. Pet your dog for a few seconds, then stop. If they lean back in or nudge your hand for more, wonderful, they're loving it. If they move away or look relieved, they were just being patient. Save the big squeezy hugs for the rare dogs who clearly melt into them. Most would simply prefer a really good chest scratch. Next up is a mistake we make every single day, usually with the best of intentions. We tend to think of a walk as being all about covering distance and burning off energy, so we march our dogs briskly forward and tug them away from every interesting smell as a distraction. But here's the reframe that changes everything. For a dog, sniffing isn't a delay in the walk. Sniffing is the walk. It's how a dog reads the entire world who passed by how they were feeling. It's like reading the morning news, checking social media, and savoring a great meal, all rolled into one. And we have lovely science on this. In a 2019 study, researchers Charlotte Duranton and Alexandra Horowitz found that when dogs were allowed to do more sniffing on their walks, they actually became more optimistic on a follow-up test. Let that sink in. Simply letting your dog use its nose makes it happier and more hopeful about the world. Constantly dragging your dog away from every sniff cuts it off from its single richest source of mental enrichment and can leave it feeling frustrated rather than satisfied. The fix could not be easier. Let them sniff. Build in long stretches of the walk where the goal isn't pace at all, it's exploration. Loosen the leash, slow right down, and let your dog lead the way with its nose. A short, sniffy walk does far more for your dog's mind and mood than a fast, no-sniffing march ever could. Now to a mistake that can quietly damage your dog's trust in you. This one is all about respecting your dog's right to make choices. It's forcing a nervous dog to greet a stranger, pushing them to be petted by every excited child who wants a turn, making them go say hi to another dog they're very clearly trying to avoid, or simply not letting them retreat and have space when they're asking for it. Here's why it matters so much. When a dog gives those quiet, I'd really rather not signals, and we override them and force the interaction anyway, two damaging things happen at once. First, the dog's stress climbs. But second, and this is the big one, the dog slowly learns that its polite signals don't work, that no one listens when it says no thank you. And that right there is exactly how a dog ends up feeling it has no choice left but to escalate, to growl, to snap, to bite, because the quiet language failed it. Your dog's no is information, not disobedience. The fix is to let your dog choose. Give it the space to approach new people and dogs on its own terms and in its own time, and always, always leave it an exit. Be the person who steps in and kindly says, "Not today," on your dog's behalf when it's overwhelmed. A dog that learns you will reliably respect its no, becomes dramatically more relaxed in the world, because it finally knows that you've got its back. The next mistake hides inside a dog that just seems naughty. This one is quiet, but it's enormous. Simply giving a dog too little to do. Dogs are intelligent, active, working animals at heart, and a dog with no real outlet for its body or its busy brain doesn't just get a bit lazy. It becomes genuinely stressed, restless, and anxious. And here's the crucial reframe. A huge amount of what people label as bad behavior, the chewing, the endless barking, the pacing, the destruction, is very often just a bored, understimulated dog desperately trying to discharge energy it has nowhere else to put. So the fix is to give your dog daily outlets for both its body and its mind. Physical exercise, absolutely, but don't stop there. Add in sniff games, food puzzles, a snuffle mat, a few minutes of fun training, a good long-lasting chew, and trips to new places to explore. And here's a tip many owners don't realize. Mental work tires a dog out even more deeply than physical exercise does. 10 minutes of nose work or problem solving can leave a dog more pleasantly tired than a long run. A dog whose needs are truly met is a calm, contented dog. A bored dog, on the other hand, has to invent its own entertainment, and you will almost never like what it chooses. Now for a mistake that's practically invisible, because it's about something your dog needs more of, not less. Here's one that genuinely surprises people, and it's the opposite of too little exercise. It's too little rest. We sometimes imagine a good dog life is non-stop activity, stimulation, and play, but dogs actually need a remarkable amount of sleep to stay emotionally balanced. The shareable fact: a typical adult dog needs somewhere around 12 to 14 hours of sleep across a day, and puppies and senior dogs need even more, often closer to 18 or 20. When a dog is constantly stimulated and doesn't get that deep, undisturbed rest, maybe in a busy household, with kids who keep waking it, or an owner who keeps it on the go all day, it can become overtired. And just like an overtired toddler, an overtired dog gets cranky, reactive, and stressed. Sleep is when their body and brain recover and process the day. So the fix is to make sure your dog has a quiet, comfortable, safe place it can retreat to and genuinely switch off, and to teach everyone in the home, especially children, a simple golden rule. When the dog is sleeping or resting in its spot, you leave it completely alone. Protecting your dog's rest is just as important as giving it exercise. And the final mistake is about something every dog quietly craves. The last one is subtle but powerful: living in a world that feels unpredictable. Dogs feel safest when life has a rhythm they can count on, and when the rules, the routines, and our reactions keep changing on them, it quietly chips away at their sense of security. Think of a dog that's cuddled and allowed on the couch one day, then scolded for it the next. Or one whose feeding and walks happen at wildly random times. Or an owner who is gentle one moment and suddenly sharp the next. To the dog, the world becomes confusing and a little bit nerve-wracking, because it can never quite predict what's coming. Now, this doesn't mean your dog's life has to run like a rigid minute-by-minute machine. It absolutely doesn't. But a general, dependable routine for the big things, roughly when meals come, when walks happen, where it sleeps, gives your dog a comforting framework, a sense that the world is safe and makes sense. The other half of this is being consistent yourself. Try to keep the household rules the same from day to day, so your dog isn't left guessing whether something is okay or not. And keep your own reactions steady and gentle, rather than unpredictable. A dog that can predict its world is a dog that can finally relax in it. So once you've taken all 7 of these on board, how do you actually read your individual dog day to day? It all comes back to watching the signals, and it's simpler than it sounds. A relaxed, happy dog has a loose, almost wiggly body, soft eyes, and an easy, slightly open mouth. Everything is loose and floppy. A stressed dog does the opposite. It goes still or stiff, licks its lips, yawns when not tired, turns away, or flashes the whites of its eyes. So let your dog's own body language be your guide, moment to moment. The instant you spot those calming signals creeping in, just ease off, give a little space, slow things down, and let your dog have a choice. You truly do not have to be a perfect owner. No such thing exists. You just have to listen and respond with a little kindness when your dog speaks. And if your dog shows serious, ongoing anxiety, this is general guidance, not a diagnosis. A good vet or qualified behaviorist can help you put together a proper plan. So here's the genuinely good news running underneath all 7 of these. Every single one is incredibly common. Every single one is completely fixable, and not one of them means you have failed your dog. These are the small, loving adjustments: kinder training, gentler affection, sniffier walks, respected choices, a busier mind, protected rest, and a predictable world, that quietly add up to a calmer, happier, more deeply trusting dog. And the simple fact that you watched this whole thing, all the way to the end, tells me everything. Your dog is already lucky to have you. If you want to keep understanding what your dog is really telling you, all backed by real science, subscribe. Every week, we decode another behavior so you can be the person your dog already believes you are. See you in the next one. This video is for general awareness and isn't a substitute for professional help. If your dog shows serious or ongoing anxiety, fear, or aggression, please consult your vet or a qualified, reward-based behaviorist.